Hello and welcome to the Product Marketing Festival. We have some fantastic sessions on the agenda for you today, but before we jump in, I have a very exciting announcement to make. The Product Marketing Awards are back for 2022 and I'm delighted to announce that nominations are now open. We received a whopping 181 new unique nominations last year, and this year we want even more PMM pioneers to be recognised. We have 7 top-notch categories for you to get involved in, and we can't wait to shout about the incredible product marketing talent within our community. The categories are Product Marketing Leader of the Year, Product Marketing Team of the Year, Product Marketing MVP of the Year, Product Marketing Newcomer of the Year, Positioning and Messaging Maestro of the Year, Product Launch of the Year, and Top Companies to Work in Product Marketing. Nominations are now open but must close on August 19th. So what are you waiting for? Spread the word, get your nominations in and celebrate those product marketing superstars that continue to go the extra mile. We'll be sharing a link to the nomination page in the chat throughout the day, so keep a lookout for that. We're also here if you have any questions, so please feel free to reach out via Slack or email. Now, after all the excitement, I just want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors, speakers, and you, our lovely audience, for joining us today at the festival. Please make the most of these sessions by asking your questions and sharing your feedback in the comment section of the video. So with that, let's get back to the sessions.
Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to this session. My name is Ginevra, and today I'll be talking a bit about personas and other frameworks we can use to represent our customers in a way that is valuable to us as PMMs and to the other teams that we usually interact with. Now, I'll be in the chat ready to answer any questions you might have, so please do not hesitate to ask me any if you do feel like it. And let's just start with a little bit about myself under 1 minute. So, my name is Ginevra. I am originally from Italy. My marketing experience has been a bit in e-commerce during my time at Amazon, then in cybersecurity, as I also worked with a consumer VPN company. And lately, less than a year ago, almost a year ago now, I got my current position as a PMM at Square. For those of you who don't know us, Square is part of Block. Block has been founded by Jack Dorsey, who is also the ex-CEO and co-founder at Twitter. And what we do at Square is we provide tools to help businesses manage their daily operations, their invoices, appointments, lots of different things. And we also provide them with payment infrastructure and solutions, both hardware, in-app, and online. So we have plenty of different products in 8 different markets, and my product is the developer platform, which means that I interact daily with 3 main customers: the software developers who actually use the developer platform and work with our APIs, then the companies who decide to accept payments with Square and integrate through our APIs, and ultimately also some partner companies who want to develop apps on top of our platform and therefore have to use our APIs. So as you can probably imagine, these 3 customers are very, very different. It's not an easy product to market, actually. And in my team, we very recently went through a persona exercise. So I'm very excited to be talking about this today, and I'll also share some of the insights from this persona exercise. So let's start. Now, obviously, every company, big and small, needs to know who their customers are, what they need, and how our product can help them achieve their goals. So we typically use buyer personas to achieve that. What buyer personas are simply semi-fictional characters. We usually have between 3 and 5 personas for every product we have. These semi-fictional characters are grounded in extensive research, both qualitative and quantitative, so it takes several months to usually put them together. And what they look like when they are complete is they usually have a picture of a person, some demographics, their location, and some information about their goals and motivations and their pain points. Now, what happens here is that unfortunately, often these personas that we have spent so long creating just get pinned to a wall and then we never look at them again. And the other teams who might actually need the insight from these exercises do not really use them either. So I'll be talking a bit about this. So let's dive right into it after this short intro. Now, these are the three main frameworks that I would like to discuss today. We will start with user archetypes, then go through ideal customer profiles, and ultimately we will talk about personas as well. So let's start with archetypes. Now, this framework is not one that we typically use as product marketing managers. This is something that is usually used by product teams or UX teams. But this doesn't mean that we can't decide to leverage it as well. And this doesn't mean that it's not relevant for us. So, what archetypes look like is they define groups of people. So, they are not specific to a single person, and they give you some information about their motivations, their attitudes, the way they make decisions, and they basically define the psychological traits that this group of users show. For example, an archetype could be the detective, who is someone, a group of people who are very rational, who only make decisions once they have gathered all the information available, who do not usually respond well to impulse buying just because they are very rational. So, the way we put together archetypes is we mainly do qualitative interviews, not as many as we would do for personas, though. So, since this method is so deeply rooted in qual research only, it might sound as a bit fluffy, but I do actually think that it can be very, very useful in some specific situations. For example, for a startup who maybe doesn't even have enough customers to actually gather the necessary amount of data to come up with reliable personas, that could be a very good solution. Or if you don't have enough time, if you don't actually have 6 or 7 months to devote to just doing research for your personas, you could still leverage archetypes and have some very valuable information. One specific scenario that I think is incredibly suited for archetypes is when we're launching new markets. So chances are that we will already have personas in our core market. We will already have extensive market research, which is what we did when we were selecting the new market to launch. So we probably already know what the pain points of our buyers are in that market. We already know whether there are new use cases that maybe don't match our existing use cases in our core market. And since we already have all of this data and we don't have actually any customers to interview, or at least we only have a few from our beta phase, we really need to know how different the attitudes and the motivations of our buyers are in that specific market. So this is something that archetypes can definitely help us with. Or again, if we have a SaaS product and we have an online website and we have questions that are specific to a step of the funnel, maybe we want to know what's happening in the consideration phase, maybe we want to know how to supercharge our content, archetypes are incredibly useful for an exercise like this one to uncover insights about the funnel. So now that we have talked a bit about archetypes for market launches, gauging attitudes, and for situations in which we don't really have enough time of data, let's move over to another framework. So let's talk about ICPs. Now, we usually have 1 or 2 ICPs for a product, while we have between 3 and 5, maybe even 6 personas for a specific product. So the difference between an ICP and a persona is that an ICP defines a company, not a person. So an ICP will give us information such as the revenue for that company, will let us know what the specific industry or that company is, how big it is, how many employees it has, while the buyer personas will give us information about who the decision makers are in that company that we described into the ICPs. Now, I'm not saying that we need both, not necessarily. We could also just get along with personas, but if we are in B2B and if we want to really give some additional tools and resources to sales and account management teams, we might want to consider spending some time on ICPs as well, just because they are so grounded in company-specific information. So the thing with ICPs is that the template is a bit on the minimalistic side. So it's very nice to have revenue information and how many employees a company have and what sectors they have, but it's not really super actionable information, and it's not really going to give any new information to our sales teams. They probably already know all of this, or if they don't know it for sure, they probably already have a feeling about it just from all the customer conversations they've had so far. So what I would suggest with this specific framework is to just add plenty of information to it. So first of all, if we actually decide to get started on the ICPs, I would like to make sure that we link those to the personas that they refer to, so that a sales representative who is looking at it can just instantly link all of that information together. Secondly, maybe not all of us are actually using battle cards for sales enablement, and that's completely okay. But there are some elements in battle cards, such as who our set of competitors is and where we win and where we lose compared to those competitors, and information about the tools, the stack of tools that these companies are actually using. That would be incredibly valuable if we decided to add it to an ICP, just because it can really help sales teams understand how different our competitors are depending on the different sectors and company profiles that we are approaching, and also how our product can tie into the stack that these companies are already using, so that when they decide how to structure their pitch or they are just conducting a negotiation, they can also leverage this information to add value to our product. So this way we are turning an ICP into some kind of one-pager that can just give them at a glance all the information they need about what these companies look like, the buyers we have in these companies, and all the information about the value our product can add and the set of competitors and how we compare with those. Now, last but not least, let's talk a bit about our very loved Buyer personas. So the reason why I'm referring to them as jobs to be done personas here is deeply linked to the personas exercise that we just went through. So much has been said and written about jobs to be done. It's kind of a buzzword. And just to sum up very shortly and to oversimplify it very much, jobs to be done is not really a framework. It's a consumer theory. It basically said that the reason why people adopt a new innovation or a new product is because they have a job to be done, meaning they have a need. They need to do something. Therefore, the reason why they buy one product is not because they want that product in itself, according to this theory, but rather because they have something that needs to be achieved. For example, people will not buy, people will have the option between a horse and a car. And in both cases, their job to be done is that they need to move from point A to point B and possibly also bring luggage with them. So if we apply this method to our personas, we will structure those personas in a way that they are very, very centered on the why. So we have to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into our research and ask ourselves why multiple times, why these people are actually buying our product. What do they actually need to do? So we are not interested in information about their goals, such as, I don't know, Bill, who is an accountant, wants to be promoted within the next year. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but there is always a risk of falling into the feel good personas trap, meaning that we spend lots and lots of months into this huge research and then we just don't really shine enough light on the insights that we have found, just because these insights get lost in the narrative that we add to our personas. So let's ditch all of the demographics and location information, unless that is very important to your specific product. But I would say in 95% of cases that isn't really the case. And let's really focus on our product, what the customers need, how we can help them, and just cut all of the narrative. So what we did for the developer platform is actually we structured our personas in a bullet point format so that it's very, very clear to instantly comprehend what the specific challenges and selling points of our product are for each of these personas. Now, my tip for this approach is very similar to the one we just discussed for ICPs, meaning let's just add as much information as we can to these personas. Just because people and other teams do not really have the time and just mental space to just dig into multiple Google Drive folders or anything else you are using to store your PMM materials to find and then read every single personas. So if we can provide other people with one pagers that just give them all of the information they possibly need about our customers and how to market our product or sell it to them, that is going to benefit all of us. And that is also going to be much easier to circulate just because we have smaller quantities of material to circulate and it's going to be evergreen for many, many different needs. So to go back to the top tip, I would suggest to add tools to personas as well, similarly to what we did with the ICPs. I would suggest to add compelling events to personas. For example, are these buyers going to trade shows to make decisions? That is information that we do have as PMMs, but not necessarily other teams do have it. just because it usually is our job to do lots and lots of research. So it is quite self-explanatory for us how our customers form an opinion about the different product alternatives they have and how ultimately they make decisions. But if we spell it out, if we spell out how our customers retrieve this information and what are the events where we can actually target them and reach them, this is going to be super useful for many different teams, such as lead generation teams who maybe have to decide what trade shows to sponsor. This is going to be helpful for performance marketing teams. This is going to be helpful for sales teams when they allocate yearly travel budget to travel to trade shows. Similarly, let's also add the channels to make sure that we know where to find our customers. For example, if we're targeting small business owners, we might want to invest a bit more on Instagram. But if we are targeting thought leaders, maybe Twitter is the way, or maybe LinkedIn is the way. This is information that we do not typically add to personas, but it is incredibly valuable just because it gives actionable insights and it can actually generate new ideas about new campaigns to launch. Similarly, let's add testimonials. And by testimonials, I do not mean the dream fluffy quotes of, oh my God, this product just changed my entire life. I don't know how I survived 40 years without it. I mean actionable quotes that can be repurposed for something else, such as by adopting product X, I noticed that my team is saving X hours a week in monotonous tasks. Or by adopting product X, I noticed that we are saving X amount in payment processing fees. So, reality grounded and practical customer quotes that we obviously have as product marketing managers. And similarly, let's make sure that we constantly refresh these personas with new and new voice of customers' insights. For example, our customer success team might have insights about pain points that aren't really specific to our product, but that our product can actually help solve. For example, maybe customers during their customer support calls are complaining about one of their, I don't know, bank accounts taking very, very long times loading, and maybe our product, while it's not its primary scope, can still help them solve that pain point. And this is really the type of information we need in personas. We don't really need the narrative, we need the insights. Now, the last point is actually my favorite. This is something that our team did during our personas exercise, and it just completely blew my mind. I just love it so much. So, we at Square, and even just within the developer platform, have many, many different products. And we also have many different personas and ICPs. So it's quite complex at times to understand, especially for sales teams who also have to market other products within the company, how to understand how to manage cross sell. So we built an extensibility grid. What this means is just we built a very simple table. We put all of our products on one of the axes and all of our personas and ICPs on the other axis. And then we just intersected those cells so that at a glance, anyone who looks at that grid can see how each ICP corresponds to each persona and how many products can be actually marketed to that ICP and personas. So it just makes things much easier if you are in a complex business scenario, or even if you're managing multiple markets. This can be built for multiple markets as well. And by linking personas to ICPs, that is also doing the same thing that we were suggesting on ICPs to link them back to personas. So let's sum up a bit all of the information that I gave you. And I would like my main takeaway to be, let's make sure that we build these frameworks, whatever we choose. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, the important thing is that we have a picture of what our customers look like, and we have very practical and actionable insights on that picture that we just built. So let's just make sure that we build those in a way that brings value to all the different teams. Let's make sure that we do not get stuck into following a generic template, but that we really, really tailor it to our needs. And let's make sure that we add as much information as possible so that we build one-pagers instead of just less useful templates. And as a last thing, I would also say a very, very important part of this is evangelization. Other teams do not have the time to actually keep up with all the research that we as PMMs do. So it really is our job to be the very annoying ones who always knock on other teams' doors and say, hey, I built this, you can find it here, and then just say that over and over and over and over again until we are sure that everyone knows how to find our research and how to know how our customers work, what they need, and what they look like. So that is all for me for today. I hope you found the session useful, at least in a small part. And please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You have the QR code direct to my profile if you want to discuss this a bit more. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the Product Marketing Festival. Thank you so much.